Have you ever felt like you're trying to tune God in like a radio station, but there's nothing but static? You know God is there, but you just can't seem to find the right frequency. You may be asking, how does God talk to us? But the world is so loud, you're afraid you've lost the connection. Well, my friends, if you've ever wondered that, you're not alone and you are in the right place. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how God communicates with his daughters, from natures and music to quiet impressions on a grocery store run. We're going to help you solve the pain of spiritual interference by showing you how to clear the static and hear the shepherd's voice exactly where you are. We're moving from searching for God to walking with him in the messy middle of your day. Stay tuned. Ordinary women, extraordinary faith. When God calls, we say yes. The Arise Women of God podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Arise Women of God podcast. I'm your host, Tamara K. Anderson, and joining me today is Wendi Christensen, my co-founder of Women Warriors of Light and a licensed clinical social worker. And today we're exploring the many methods God uses to communicate with us. First, we'll discuss the radio dial of revelation, how to recognize when you're on the wrong station and clear out the static. Second, Wendi shares a powerful story about being present, why God wants you to just sit still on the couch with your teenager. Third, we are going to explore how God uses bonus confirmations, like hymns, scriptures, and inspired friends to confirm the thoughts in your head and heart. And finally, we'll talk about the significance of a well-side meeting, how God meets busy women right in the middle of their daily chores, just like he met the woman at the well. But first, Wendi is going to dive in and talk a little bit about tuning your dial.
As a kid, I think it was pretty simple. Like if I felt warm inside, that warm fuzzy feeling inside, then I was like, oh, okay, that's God talking to me. And now it comes in so many different, because everyone is so different. And I feel like different times in my life also require different feelings or hearing in my life as well, depending on the situation or the scenario. I love how you said it's like tuning, it's fine tuning a radio to tune in to the Lord. And I find when I'm feeling really confused, sometimes it's the opposite. Like if I'm feeling really confused about something, I've learned that that's probably I'm on the wrong station or I've got interference coming in, like Satan, the opposition, if I'm feeling a lot of confusion around something. So then I want to clear out that confusion, and then it helps me to hear and get more dialed in on the Lord and what the Lord is trying to say to me. And for me, it can be like an image that'll pop into my mind or a picture, because I'm more of a visual person. And so sometimes when I'm really, like if I'm working with a person and I'm really just sitting and tuning into their energy and my energy and trying to hear things, it will be a thought or a phrase that will pop into my mind. And that's interesting because I didn't used to have that when I was younger. But as I've matured, I've found and started learning better how the Lord speaks to me. It's more of a thought or a phrase that will come into my mind where it's like, oh, this is what's going on, or this is what's happening, or ask her about this. And I'm like, oh, so I'll just throw it out there. And so many times as I've thrown it out there, as I'm talking to somebody or working, they're like, how did you know that? And then that's kind of verifying, oh, yeah, that really was the Spirit talking to me. Like that really was him saying something.
I love that visual of clearing the static. Sometimes we think God has stopped talking, but really we just have too much interference in the room. But Wendi has also found that sometimes God's broadcast is incredibly simple. It's not a grand vision, it's simply a prompting to be present.
Last night I was watching a show with my son. He's 15, and I could tell things have been a little off with him. And I didn't necessarily have God specifically saying, hey, do this, do this, do this. But I was sitting there and I was going to do some other things like, busy moms, let's fold laundry while we're watching a movie, or let's do taxes. I'm in the middle of taxes, right? Like, let's do things. And God was like, no, just sit there. And I was like, wait a minute. Is that what I heard? Did I hear that right? And I was like, I'm not sure. Cause sometimes you can doubt it, but I did. I just sat there. And afterwards, I was questioning it. And I was like, why did I just need to sit there with him and watch that movie? And then I just felt in my heart, that's all he needed you for. He needed you to just sit and watch a movie with him. He needed your
Mm.
time. And I was like, okay. And could I question that and doubt that now? Yeah, I could. But in my heart, I'm choosing to trust that. Does that make sense? Like I'm
Mhm.
choosing to trust, that's my son just needed me to sit by him and watch a movie with him. That's all he needed.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
he just needed my presence. I'm going to trust that and trust that that's what God was trying to get me to do and trust that I followed it, even though I could question it. I could doubt it in my mind. But what does that doubt lead me to? It doesn't lead me to a good space. It doesn't lead me to trust God anymore. So sometimes it's a choice to listen, right? I'm choosing to believe that I did hear God, that it was simple and it wasn't this profound thing, and that it's going to bless my son.
So, ladies, sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is sit on the couch. God knows exactly what your children need, and He speaks to our hearts in those quiet moments. And the good news is, He uses bonus confirmations to make sure we don't miss the message. For me, that sometimes comes through music. I remember feeling of super strong impression at one point that I needed to move. I was a college student and I needed to move back home. And I remember sitting there, and the next day I went to church and we sang this hymn that talked about following what God asks us to do and going where he wants us to go and being who he wants us to be. And the spirit was so strong. It was like God confirming the thoughts that I had had. And so that day he spoke to me through music. This is what you need to do. I literally sat and wept through the entire hymn. And so sometimes he can speak to us through music. There's been other times when I've been super sad and anguished, and I remember opening my scriptures once and reading that phrase, be still and know that I am God. And just feeling like, oh, he sees me in this sorrow. He sees me in my grief, in my sadness. And just be still, Tamra. And it was just this sweet message to me from God through the scriptures. There's been other times when I have heard his voice as I've talked to inspired friends, where I love going on walks with friends. And sometimes I'll be pouring out my problem, like, this is everything I'm dealing with right now. And someone will say something and it like pierces me in the heart. And I'm like, that is the answer right there. The answer came from God through my inspired friend who knew exactly what to say, how to say it. And God was like, and that's your answer, Tamara. And so
Yes.
it's kind of cool how God can use different ways and methods to reach us at different times. It doesn't always have to look the same. I know also being out in nature is a super powerful way and a place where I feel like I can connect and commune with God more closely. And I've gotten whispers and answers just being in nature, or just life is super stressful, just feeling his presence if I go to a park or if I sit and watch a sunset. But it's intentionally taking that time to be still and to have a moment with him so that he can communicate with us. So, my friends, God meets us in the mountains, but sometimes He also meets us at the kitchen sink. Next, we're going to talk about how we don't have to go to a mountaintop like Moses to find Him and hear Him. It reminded me of the story of the woman at the well. Where did He meet her? He met her in the middle of what she was doing. She was fetching water because she had to. He met
Yeah.
her exactly in her busiest moments. And I think God meets women in their busy, whatever they're doing, because we are so busy taking care of so many people. But that's how God uses women specifically, is because we're always busy and doing and helping and serving. It's beautiful that He can meet us wherever we are and whatever we're doing.
Well, and it's kind of like we were talking about in the last episode, but it doesn't have to be perfect. God meets you in the messy, and He loves you in the messy, and you can hear Him even in the messy. If you just open up to Him, you will start seeing how He talks to you.
I like that. Ask and ye shall receive, He tells us in the scripture. So if you want to hear Him better, tell Him that. Have a totally honest conversation. I want to hear you better. Help me to hear and recognize when you're speaking to me, and then have the courage to act on it. God is a masterful communicator, and He is speaking your specific spiritual language right now, whether it's through a song or a sunset or a sudden thought to just sit still. He is reaching out to you. If you're ready to fine-tune your internal radio and start recognizing when God is speaking to you, we have created a roadmap for you. You can download our Roadmap to Revelation, 6 Steps to Hearing God in Your Daily Life, specifically geared towards Christian women, on our Women Warriors of Light website. And we have a bonus download that goes with this. It is our Receiving Light and Revelation meditation by Wendi, and both of those are available free in the link below. So, my friends, don't let the static of the world drown out the song of the Spirit. Download the roadmap, find your stillness, connect with God, listen, and then act. And until next time, may you arise, do it God's way, God strong.